Welcome to Truth UnCompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com.
Truth, where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised. All right, family. Sorry about that. We're having a bunch of technical difficulties. Brother Sean, if you can hear me on the air, give me a shout out. Cool, you can hear me. Cool beans. So, first of all, soon as we went on the air, we got fucking kicked off. So, meaning the internet totally shut down. I had to reboot. Then all of a sudden, 2 headsets of mine won't work. So the fuckery begins. So anyway, welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda. We are back. We had a 2-week break. I had vacation 1 week and then forgot I had to travel for business the following week. So glad to be back. We are continuing our series, The Lands of the Giants, Part 17. So I am going to bring in my co-host. Let me bring in Brother Sean. Sis, I think you're in the queue as well, so I'll bring you on, Sis Sandra, in a minute. So here we go. Gonna try to bring you in, Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power, sis. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm glad that I'm on and see the fuck shit been already begun. So,
yes, indeed.
It is what it is. I'm like, shit, we're just talking about giants. Who the fuck we supposedly and allegedly offending? Damn. So,
I think it'd be all the other stuff we be saying.
Yeah. True that. Oh, okay. Well, glad to hear your voice.
Likewise.
All right, let me bring in Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Oh, peace and love, sis. I'm fine, thank you. And yourself and Brother Sean and the family?
I'm well. Good to hear your voice.
Man, I was about to give up on that one because I said, it's already started.
Yeah, because I saw you on, and I was literally, because you was on when I played the intro music.
Right,
and
but I heard silence, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yep.
And then I forgot. I mean, it was so bad.
Right
intro, I forgot to push *1 to get in the queue.
Yeah, and I saw you there, but soon as after that intro, it went dead. So that's when you heard the silence, and I had to reboot everything. I'm like, oh, here go the fuckery. So, but that's
you know,
okay. That's not
I'll tell you something.
me.
You rocked some boats on that DNA last week because
Baby,
there's a whole lot
that
of
ain't my fault. That's the motherfucking who sung that song? That was Master P. Oh, it ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. So ain't no need them getting tart with me. Shit.
I know, but you know, I tell you, when I heard it, and I said, "Oh my God, what did she just say?" You see, because the secrets are revealed with that DNA. Because
absolutely.
It's out there clear cut and dry. So I said, "Oops."
Absolutely, and people need to stop lying and bullshitting to themselves. So, you know, the lies run deep because people think that it's only the melanated, quote, quote, black, renamed Negro, renamed African Americans that are being lied to, but the quote, quote, white folks are being lied to too. So as a motherfucking follow-up, I got a follow-up article just about the whole notion of Caucasian. So ain't no need no motherfucking getting tart. The truth is the truth.
But you know what you really actually said, and this is one of my things I learned, what I was thinking about, is this is the what's called the planet of the apes. You give a drift?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the mark of the beast is what? The Bible. Their work. That's what they gave us.
Well, again, I don't know why people are getting tart. If they are getting tart, because that's scientific stuff.
Yeah.
That's
but it's intelligent stuff, though, friend. Because I was cracking up. I said, oh, my God.
Yeah. And then the thing of it is, you know, people want to sit here and, well, why is the planet so unbalanced? Because everybody is running around being something
they're not.
other than who they are, and then just nothing is natural like it's supposed to be.
Right. And then they wonder why gun control is not working. You understand? Because you got the frequency changing that's making people go back to what they are.
Exactly. Well, people are trying to go back to what they are, but because they are so out of balance, starting with the land that they are supposed to be standing on, let's just even start with that. They can't get their bearings together.
They go crazy. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah. So if your DNA and your cellular level is telling you something different, not even telling you, showing you something different, and you just gonna try to motherfucking force the fact, folks are going crazy, and the planet, you know, Mother is not playing.
No.
She is purging.
Right.
Literally. So I got a couple of follow-ups on some phenomenons that's going on, but before I go into all of that, sis, did you have any go ahead on with the fuckery? I know we've been gone for 2 weeks.
Well, you know, I'm just that what you laid out there last week. I said, oh my God, that tells us why we are here in this mess, and there's lack of love, there's lack of self-control anymore. All of that is that genetics, the manipulation, or that genetic altering, whatever they did to make that happen. It's the payback time. It really is. And you can't get out of it.
Right. And if you just think about period, and, you know, that's why Brother Sean and I kind of harp on the melanated side of, you know, the fuckery of taking over these particular territories where they stinking asses weren't supposed to be doing what they were doing. So all of it really, really runs deep. And I know I keep saying it, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to give a reference to a video by this one gentleman that puts out work about mud floods and false history. I'm telling you all that Arctic, I am telling you, that Arctic has the ancient history of all of these other different beings, bloodlines coming into this land.
So I want to say something clearly. King James, hated Catholics, right?
Right.
He hated them, right? So
yes.
When I said the other couple of weeks ago that Pope Paul the Fourth is Apostle Paul of the New Testament. And the reason I said that is because the letter is identical to what they say in the Ephesians Gospel. I mean, it's almost dot per period, you know. So that means, and they had already assumed in theology when I was in it, that it was Augustine, Pope Augustine, that wrote the New Testament. So we're, as a melanated people, has been following this so-called New Covenant, New Testament, that's what it means. So
right.
James didn't write that. The Catholics wrote that. And I want to get it out there clearly, that Catholics wrote that. Because Paul is responsible for most of the New Testament.
Yes.
So-called Pope Paul the Fourth, or Apostle Paul. And James,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
James hated Catholics.
Right, but even with James and them, the stewards, okay, because I want people to start connecting this shit. I want you to remember, I want you to connect these kingdoms to the surnames and know that who we're speaking of are melanated people. So King James is a steward because his mother is a steward, okay? So that steward name carries a lot of power, all right? And I said that when we did the show on the black nobility, and we went into those different surnames, and I told you that King James' bloodline is tied to that steward name. Any derivative, variation, spelling of the surname Stewart is that King James bloodline. Okay, but what we have to remember, those black nobilities were still conquerors.
Right.
Okay, because it was different bloodlines conquering different other different bloodlines, and then in some cases it was the same damn bloodline overthrowing and conquering each other for territory.
Well, you know, Charles V was the one who was with Pope Paul IV in the conquering of the Americas. Charles V.
Exactly, because isn't that the one that put he brought the white/Caucasian, and I even hate using that Caucasian, and y'all will once again hear why tonight. I don't like using that term. Brought that bloodline into play with that Windsor last name. He sanctioned.
That was Charles II.
Okay,
that was Charles.
One of them
Charles II.
Sanctioned that Windsor name. So in other words, that Windsor name is not an old nobility name. after all of the warring went on and the conquering of the kingdoms, and as the black nobility wanted to get out of the limelight, they started putting their white relatives and them into the forefront. So they wanted to rebrand themselves, and you will see this constantly, where these bloodlines rebrand themselves with different names, but they have to get approval to use those names. And so he was the one that even sanctioned that Windsor name. And so that is why, family, when you look at those coats of arms, or they call them crests, family crests, you will see different symbols. All of those symbols, they mean something, okay? And if you know, you're into sigils, if you study ancient mythology, you'll start to tie the symbols back. Now, it even gets deeper than that, because not only are those coats of arms, damn, Brother Sean, you know what I'm trying to say. What's the motherfucking cartoon, Netflix cartoon, because it's going to pretty much sum it up, that you just gave me a couple of days ago. And I think I've only watched 2 episodes, but if we give that to the family, it's going to explain to them better than I can about those coats of arms and using those different titles and lording yourself or pledging yourself to someone else. Do you have the name of that cartoon?
State Apocrypha. State Apocrypha.
Okay. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend Fate Apocrypha. Highly recommend. I highly recommend. The first episode will leave you speech, because it's going to tell you what I'm trying to explain to you. How deep how deep this shit really goes.
Deep the rabbit hole.
That cartoon lays it out about those coats of arms, what this shit really means, and all of these titles of nobility and conquering of the land. The cartoon, just in one episode, lays it out. I'm only 2 episodes in, so I highly recommend that. Now, taking it a step further, and I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
They have another one called Fate Unlimited Blades. I mean, it goes in deep, too.
I haven't even gotten to that one. So I'll
get to that
this weekend. Dang, yeah, I'm going to get to it this weekend. So what I am saying is, none of this stuff is just coincidence. And I kind of knew this off the bat because it was told to me spiritually. That's what was going on. But now the research, the physical proof has been put before me. I can see it clear as day now. But, these are different bloodlines or different species from different lands.
Right.
And I'm telling you, folks came across through that Arctic.
Well,
I'm telling you that's what they did. They came across, a portal opened up so that dome or crystallized wall opened up, or they found a way to get through it, and they came through those lands and just kept spreading because they kept warring and tearing up their particular land. So I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
I was just saying that Not in Beggin said that these people were mixed with all kinds of species. Remember that? And he said that, and I also know that some of them look like birds. Some of them have fish DNA. They have all kinds of DNAs because they were made with different stuff. And he said that, and our ancestors refused to mate with foreigners. But we didn't lost that little love and feeling, and we do ourselves an injustice. And that may be the reason why some of us are going crazy with them and not in tune with the planet.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's deep because if you follow the ancient mythology even if you do the Anunnaki, or even if you do the
Irish,
the mythology of the planets warring, so meaning Mother Earth got in a war with the other planets, and then one of the planets got destroyed. And as I say, instead of looking up and thinking of the round energy centers, what they're calling planets, think outward. Okay, so each particular realm is a circle within a circle within a circle within a circle. And so that means they could literally just come across when portals are open. They can come through that crystal dome. And if you pay attention to like the Star Wars, all of those different space movies, and I just saw it recently, you'll see, they'll show you where they go right through the motherfucking crystal dome. They'll show you that. And I'm like, shit, they're putting it right in front of people's face, but they're not getting it clearly. And Star Wars is one that really, really puts it in your face, because when they're going to these other lands, they're always showing you where they're crossing across the Arctic. They're like literally almost always showing you where they're crossing across the Arctic. Then when they get to the land, or if they're in a current land, they're showing you the double sun. They're showing you like the other energy centers, planets that's really, really close up, a big looking Jupiter, red one. So they're putting it in our face. And because the dimensions, the age that we are in, and dimensions are collapsing, we're starting to see that stuff with our eyes. Literally, we're seeing, the two suns. We're seeing, some people are seeing the multiple moons. So this stuff is really, really deep. So this is a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle because you have these beings that cannot stay in harmony with particular environments, so they're scavengers. And everywhere they go, they turn it into a fucking ghetto, a prison ghetto. Everywhere
I think that's an operative word, prison, because this is the prison planet. And so it's like a changing of the guards. We were in control, and then when they came, they took us down, and we're their prisoners now.
Right, because it was the lowering of the realm's vibration in order for them to keep that control. Because if you are a high frequency being, you cannot operate in a lower level realm. And the same is opposite. If you are a lower level being, you cannot operate in a higher level realm. Okay, so in order for them to survive, they have to cipher energy. And to do that, they have to keep the realm low, because they're not creators of high vibrational energy. So this whole system, because we even talked about, it may have been a couple of weeks ago when I read the article on the reincarnation matrix. Okay, so recycling back in. In other words, for these entities to keep ciphering your energy. But now that the realm is Mother Earth's vibration is rising regardless. So in other words, she don't give a fuck whether or not you woke or not. That's on you. If you can't, get your shit together, get purged off. All right? And they're constantly putting these movies in your face to let you know that. That's what motherfucking Bird Box was about. They've been making that movie, Purge. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, however many damn versions of that they got out. They keep putting these things in your face, letting you know that the realm is changing. Now, in addition to that, the entities know they got to get the fuck on. They cannot remain in the realm as the vibration is rising. So they are setting traps for folks to re-sign up with them for the fuck shit. So in other words, yeah, come on and join my gang so we can take it to another lower realm and we can keep the same fuck shit going. Okay? So all of these things are being revealed. It doesn't matter if whomever is upset. The truth don't give a fuck about you being upset. Mother Earth don't give a fuck about nobody being upset. It is what it is. The information is truly free-flowing. So it's going to get out regardless. And it's truly whatever resonates with you. If you are in tune to receive the information, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, you don't want to repeat another cycle of fuckery, it is going to resonate with you. But remember, the best source of energy is the strongest and highest vibration. So who better to trick than the ones that are, getting their shit together, they're in tune. So why not recycle them back into the web, into the matrix under another program, and you think that you've gotten out, but yet you're still in another fucked up situation, in another fucked up simulation. So literally, that is the age that we are in. Everything is being revealed if you are in tune, because everything that has been told is a fucking lie. All of it is absolutely a lie. And the biggest one, are their version of history, what the media puts before you. That's bullshit. But what they dropping truth in is the motherfucking cartoons, the sci-fi stuff. That's the stuff where they're dropping truth in. So it is up to you to go within, to unlock your DNA, to say, oh, okay, yeah, I'm wrong. I see exactly where this is going. So, okay, I'm not going to ramble no more. Brother Sean, you have any go ahead on with the fuckery for the family?
Yeah. But I think high vibrational beings can operate anywhere. It's just a matter of observing and not buying off into the program
And that's
and
true.
lowering the frequency.
That's true. You don't want to be bothered with the fuck shit, but that is true.
And we're supposed to be the guardians and the gatekeepers of Mama. Yet this New Age stuff keep trying to tell us that everybody is one. If everybody was one, everybody would have been there at the beginning of this game.
Right. Which we know that's not the case.
Exactly. And actually, in this age of knowing, we're supposed to know that we're supposed to be guarding the secrets. What we're learning within, we ain't supposed to be sharing with the fucking world and sharing with the enemy. This is the shit that Mama is trying to keep from them. They're doing everything they can to find out exactly what we are, how to crack the code.
Mm-hmm.
If they crack the code, then they can get out.
So they think, but...
Yeah, but the thing is, them having access to so many of our people's DNA, and with this whole New Age thing, and people not realizing that the astral realm is just a trap.
Yes.
For beings with too much energy for these lower beings to deal with. The astral realm is the feeding ground for the demiurges.
Yes, it is. And people that play in those realms, I know people get fascinated when they realize that they know that they're in those different realms and they call themselves kicking it. But you got to get past that bullshit. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So, as certain things get unlocked in our DNA, if we're still within their program, that gives them direct access to that knowledge. I mean, it's a double-edged sword in many ways. But the thing is not to play their game. It's not to wait for this. It's not to wait for that. I don't care what else gonna happen. Ain't none of that got to do with what you're supposed to do as far as for going within.
Exactly.
And it's about bringing about action. It's not about just knowing who you are and being arrogant about that.
Right.
It's about helping Mother like you were supposed to do in the first place. True enough.
Right.
True enough, she taking care of business. That's because she had to. She didn't want to. She's like, what the fuck I got all these powerful children for? And they ain't doing shit. They ain't doing a goddamn thing but talking out their ass.
Yeah.
And talking about Patreons and PayPals.
Right. Let me drop this knowledge, but let me beg in the motherfucking process. Right. Right.
We are the ones, by elevating our individual frequencies. We were supposed to be healing Mama and elevating her frequency.
That's right.
She shouldn't have to clean house. That's what she had
She really
children.
shouldn't. Yeah.
That's just like at home. Your mama made your ass clean up.
Yep. Yeah.
That was the least you can do. She was taking care of your ass. She was cooking and doing everything else, washing your clothes, wiping your shitty ass, everything.
Right. Right.
And Mama Earth been doing the same damn thing.
Right. But you know what? That's why, and I know, some people may not get it when I say this. They may not understand it. But that's why I say if she has to wipe every source off of her, she will.
Mm-hmm.
She will. And you know what? Oh, well. Oh, well. So now go play in the motherfucking realms for those that, love heaven. Go on and play in motherfucking heaven. For those that love, jumping dimensions and, go on and play in that. Play all up in that. So we're just telling you that not that it's coming, it's here. Because, we were some of the first that told you all these poles were going to reverse. We were consistent with that years and years and year after year after year after year. Now they have no choice but to come out in the mainstream media and tell you that the motherfucking poles are physically moving. And now they're starting to say poles are flipping, poles are reversing. What does it mean? So she is showing you that she's cleaning. She's cleaning it up.
They had 2,000 fires in 24 hours in the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. Did you read that article?
Africa was burning too.
Yeah, they all burning.
Africa was burning at the same time.
And they talk about the plasma. It's so pretty. We'll tell you why it's happening like this. Come on.
And I just laugh because I've been talking about plasma for 2 years. Now all of a sudden, plasma. Oh, okay then. Well, yeah, whatever.
And everything is instantly igniting. Can you imagine 2,000 fires in 24 hours?
Well, it is what it is. All I can tell you all, family, is I know when the sun, I'm telling you all, pay attention. It does not set. It does not rise east and west. It's moving further and further north. Because it fucking freaked me out because I knew that it was setting northwest. I knew that for a fact. I was finally able to start catching it, so I was assuming that it was going to rise southeast. Shit. It's rising northeast. It is not true east anymore. And as the months go by, it's going more and more to the north. So, let people do what they're going to do. So, all right, Brother Sean, did you have any go ahead on with the fuckery before I get into a couple of these follow-up articles?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So now that we're on about the magnetic pole, I told y'all every week there's at least 2 articles that come out about the magnetic pole. So this came out yesterday, and this is off of Scientific American. Earth's magnetic field initiated a pole flip many millennia before the switch. Lava flow records and sedimentary and Antarctica ice core data show evidence of planetary magnetic field activity 20,000 years before the beginning of the last pole reversal. Okay, so remember, I ain't never heard none of these publications talk about no motherfucking pole reversal. It was only, now what the hell happened to, oh my bad, it was only the quote spiritual communities talking about it. So now everybody want to come out, oh yeah, that happens, okay, yeah, whatever. So here we go. Earth's magnetic field, which creates our planet's north and south pole, is far from fixed. In fact, the field is quite active. Sometimes it weakens and even reverses, causing Earth's polarity to switch. These periods of instability don't happen very often, though only about every 100,000 years to million years. Don't y'all think that's a hell of a stretch? 100,000 to million, that's a hell of a stretch. Okay, what they don't want to come out and say is go on those age cycles, but whatever. That's part of why this phenomenon has largely remained a mystery to scientists. However, a recent study may help researchers better understand how long and how complicated Earth's magnetic field reversals really are. Okay, so notice they're talking magnetic field. Okay, the last polarity reversal took place some 77,000 years ago. In a new study, researchers used lava flow records along with sediment and Antarctica ice core data to examine that event. They found that the reversal took about as long as many scientists previously believed it did a few thousand years ago. All right. So, interestingly, they said it took place, the last polarity reversal took place 77,000 years. Then they said that the reversal took about as long as many scientists previously believed it did a few thousand years ago. So which is it? Is it 77,000 years or is it a few thousand? Okay, whatever. So I'll move on. But the researchers also examined the period prior to that final reversal process, and they discovered that a lot was happening with Earth's magnetic field thousands of years beforehand. There's clear evidence from the volcanic rocks of major excursions happening about 795,000 years ago. Okay, so all right, Christians, listen up, because what they calculating the Earth mother to be, 6,000 years? But anyway, all right, so Brad Singer, a geoscientist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who led the study. And that was followed by another excursion, which is the unexpected finding of this study at about 784,000. The two excursions that we discovered in the lava records are seen in some of the sedimentary records are a sign that the dynamo is beginning to undergo the reversal process 20,000 years earlier than the final reversal took place. So our argument would be that the reversal process is complicated and long-lived, and it gets underway. It gets initiated well before the final reversal takes place. Brad S. Singer. All right, so they're trying to say in this one little paragraph that it's going to take thousands and thousands of years. And they're saying about 20,000 years. Oh, okay, well, Rum, all I have to do is look up in the motherfucking sky. You gonna tell me that it didn't take a motherfucking thousands of years unless you're calculating years in days for that sun to start setting due north? Oh, okay then. But you saying this reversal gonna happen over a 20,000 year period. Oh, okay then. But we're seeing the sun set due north within a couple of months. It's moving further and further north. Oh, okay then. All right, so all this activity prior to the final reversal is vital for our grasp of the process. The ultimate goal here is we want to understand what drives reversals, what really happens. And if you just start and look at this short period right around the reversals, you're missing all the unusual behavior that happens in thousands of years prior to that. We need to know if Singer's findings hold true for magnetic field reversals in general. Alterations in the field will mess with human critical systems such as the GPS satellites that help us navigate. Fortunately, whenever the next reversal happens, it looks like we'll have plenty of time to prepare. Okay. All right. So, again, this article was off of Scientific American. It came out yesterday. Earth's magnetic field initiated a pole flip many millennia before the start. And again, we at least get an article like this talking about the pole reversal at least once a week, and it's all singing the same tune that it's going to be thousands of years before it totally flips its polarity, but yet when you look up in the sky, you get a totally different thing. So you use your discernment, but I did just want to share that with the family on how every week they're putting it out there. So I'll pause in case Sis or Brother Sean, you all have something you want to put on it before I move on.
Yeah. I mean, that's just interesting that the events and what you see are telling you that a shift is happening.
Yep.
But these fucktards gonna tell you that it's not happening. Oh, that's not what's happening. You still got some thousands of years before that happens.
Right. You still
but the
got,
shit
you
happening.
Still got some thousands. Yeah. Yeah, but motherfucking plasma shooting across the motherfucking sky because people like, all of that lightning and no thunder. That's plasma, baby. That's plasma.
A lake in Alaska that unthawed.
Yeah.
A dawn in Antarctica. I mean, ain't none of that shit working the way it's supposed to.
Nope.
But there's no magnetic shift.
Oh, no, you got thousands of years, though. You got about 20,000 years.
And if they know that it's that many years in between those events, what does that do about any of their religious texts? Because we ain't supposed to be that old.
Well. Exactly. That's why I said, for Christians, I thought they had like 6,000 years, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, they were teaching
Yep, you're right.
6,000 years.
Yep.
Okay. And that 6,000 is coded because 6,000 is telling you of the fuckery, of the fall, of the vibratory fall of the planet. So, yeah, it's new to some species, you motherfucking invaders. It's new to you. But Mama been here millions of years. We don't even know when she was birthed. So very, very great point, Brother Sean.
A lot of the people, the politicians and people in government, they're kind of like jumping ship. And I think they're really, the climate so-called change is ratcheting up because they are always talking about emergency plans.
Yes.
You have emergency plans. Are they doing it on your side of the world over there? Because
they're not doing it as much. I see people posting it on YouTube in different areas. They're talking about it. I do know a lot of helicopter activity, y'all. And not just the regular helicopter activity. I'm talking the big boys where you can hear it. It's a lot of shit going on, and it's because of the shift. So all of this other stuff, who's coming out of the closet, who's being mistreated on somebody's motherfucking job, what Fiat's gonna do that, this and that, what Trump card's gonna do, that shit don't mean nothing.
Mm-mm.
We keep telling y'all, it don't mean nothing. And if you think it means something, go stand out and you tell the motherfucking sun that and tell the plasma. Hold up your Fiat and tell the sun and the plasma how much that shit means.
Over here, they're giving us power outages we're going to have. They're having town hall meetings on it. It's coming in on my internet and email everywhere. They're trying to tell us be ready for fires. So, and I told you we had them red skies, remember? The red clouds.
Yes.
That was
Cali been off the chain for a little bit, and now that you mention it, though, sis, there has been a lot of power outages. Now that you motherfucking mention it.
Mm-hmm. They call them blackouts.
And I just, Atlanta, they just broke another heat record. And then, every time we think it's getting ready to cool off, it's right back up in the motherfucking 90s. Like, oh, yeah. So I'm telling you all, it's not no 1,000-something years. It is happening now. If you are a gardener, you should see the change in the plants and the flowers. If you grow your little vegetable gardens, I see a big difference from last year to this year, and just growing a garden. I'm like, oh shit. So we're telling you that it's here. It is here. Okay, so I have another article, and then I'm going to jump into another follow-up. It kind of ties in to tonight's topic as well. So this was off of Raggedy Fox News, but I think all of the mainstream media picked this up since then. This one is saying August 27th, but I know I saw it come out again today. So it's called Strange Giant Planet Unlike Any Other Discovered. Astronomers have spotted a giant exoplanet that they say is unlike any other. Planet HR 5183b has 3 times the mass of Jupiter. And pay attention, they've been talking about Jupiter a lot. And I do have to give a shout out to the one man's YouTube channel. Shit, I can't think of it. But him and his boy have been talking about Jupiter showing up close in our skies. I mean, really, really close. And it's associated moon. And soon after they started saying that, then mainstream media picked up, oh, you can see Jupiter in the sky with its moons, okay? And shout out to Brother 832, because I did go back and watch Jupiter Ascending, and everything that he said about the demiurge that was ruling over that was true in that movie. I went back and watched. It was already a deep movie to start with, but I went back and watched it. He was absolutely correct. So Jupiter, I believe, is one of those other planets, and I'm thinking again on the outskirts that these beings, some of those particular beings are in this realm, and they brought some of their fucked up system as well, okay? Mars, I believe, they destroyed Mars, and I think the atmosphere in Mars probably has since recovered, or it's recovered enough for them to go back and return with the fuck shit. But anyhow, so Jupiter, you're going to hear them every time they're going to start talking about these different things. You're going to hear them talk about Jupiter. So anyway, it says it has 3 times the mass of Jupiter and travels on an incredibly long egg-shaped path around its star, according to Caltech, which led the research. The planet takes 45 to 100 years to complete its orbit. If this planet were somehow placed into our own solar system. Now, did y'all catch the fuck shit? If this planet were somehow placed into our own solar system, it would swing from within our asteroid belt to out beyond Neptune, it added. Scientists' study of the newly discovered planet will be published in the astronomical, or I want to say astronomy journey. And so within this article, you can also click. They gave you another link. I told y'all I'll make this motherfucking shit up. I just observe it. When you rewatch a lot of these movies they put out, when you get in tune, when the knowledge is flowing to you, you're picking it up, you see shit for what it really is. So there's a link in here that literally said Rocky Star Wars exoplanet with 3 suns discovered. I can't make this shit up. I told you they always was putting this shit in our faces. So here it goes. This planet is unlike the planets in our solar system, but more than that, it is unlike any other exoplanet we have discovered so far, said Sarah Blunt, a Caltech graduate student and first author on the study and the statement. Other planets detected far away from their stars tend to have very eccentricities, meaning that their orbits are more circular. The fact that this planet has such a high eccentricity speaks to some differences in the way that it either formed or evolved relative to other planets. Okay, let me see. This planet spends most of its time loitering in the outer part of its star's planetary system in its highly eccentric orbit. Then it starts to accelerate in and does a slight slingshot around its star. We detected this slingshot motion. We saw that the planet come in and now it's on its way out. That creates such a distinctive signature that we can be sure that this is a real planet, even though we haven't seen a complete orbit. It said this newfound planet basically would have come in like a wrecking ball, said Howard in the statement, knocking anything in its way out of the system. And then it once again noted in a separate project, astronomers recently spotted a rocky Star Wars exoplanet with 3 suns. Okay, and what else? Okay, so that's the end of that article. All right, so the point being, all you have to do is go on YouTube and type in people spotting 3 suns, people spotting a blue planet, a red planet. You will get plenty of information. Plenty of information with people with legitimately footages of catching these things in the sky. But yet they're putting out articles. They're telling you they're finding these exoplanets that could, what if it was in our solar system, this is what it'll look like. But it's millions and millions of years away. But yet, all you have to do is go to YouTube and search on some of these things, and people are bringing you raw footage showing you that these things are literally happening. Okay? So all of this is a part of the shift. Okay? Because you have dimensions collapsing and Mother Earth's frequency rising. So I'll pause in case Sis or Brother Sean, if you wanted to put something on it. Otherwise, we are going to move on. Oh, we got a couple of people in the queue. Okay, Sis or Brother Sean, did you want to put something on it before I go to the calls? I see you 646.
I'm good.
And I 717. Okay. All right. Let me go to 646. Taking so long. 646, your line is open.
Oh, thank you. Peace and love. How are you?
I'm well. Peace and love. How are you?
Fantastic. Great. I trust you enjoyed your vacation. You know, we missed you.
I did. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I missed you all too. And then when I had to go out of town for business, I'm like, oh, shoot, that's 2 weeks. I missed you all too.
And the crazy thing is that Blog Talk had you scheduled for 9:30.
I just can't with them. You know I can't, right?
But that's all right.
Now you ain't never known me to schedule no show at no 9:30.
I tell you, and it almost threw me off. And I said, "Wait a minute, that ain't right. Let me check again." you know, because
Right.
they were saying, you know, they go by how many hours away, and the calculation would have been
Right.
9:30. But in any event, I did want to mention two things in particular. One was the other day I saw a 3-jet rocket flying in formation lower than helicopters normally fly by. I don't know if they were piloted or artificially, you know, drones, but they were flying that low and right across the skies here in New York. And I thought that was rather strange. Not that it shook me or anything, because I do expect these things already, because I, you know, stay on top like that. But it's amazing how the truth just confirms itself.
Exactly.
The other thing was that somewhere I was looking at what they are trying to build or built over Hawaii to more or less, it's like a mobile large mechanism that is supposed to replace the need for the 5G towers and, you know, overrides and supersedes the other telephone towers. And they say it's less power coming out of it, but according to what I was reading and looking at, it still has a worse effect on the health. But I don't know if y'all seen that or not. So
I
just
haven't
wanted to
seen
share
it, but you know why they doing that, right? Because Mother Earth's frequency is rising, so their equipment can't keep up with her frequency. I said that a while ago, that's what the 5G was really about, them trying to keep up with her frequency. So it's almost, think of it like a computer. Do you have the same computer you had when you first bought a computer?
Oh, hell no.
No. Exactly. You had to keep doing what? You had to keep upgrading. Because as the software changed, as the internet signal got stronger, you had to keep upgrading. So everything is in frequency. And like Brother Sean and I have been telling you all, the fraud is so deep. Everything, they have been really using Mother Earth's frequency to draw energy. So that means like electricity, all of that stuff, they've been using the frequency waves. So that's why, sis, Sandra, they're also telling people to get prepared for power outages and all of this, because their equipment can't keep up with the frequency. That's how fast she's shifting and rising.
Mm-hmm. And
so that
you know, ever since your program where you shared about the people working, I noticed a lot of Con Ed work is just way more than usual. You know, different groups, different blocks, but so close around that I'm saying, damn, yeah, they working hard. So I give thanks to Mother Earth.
yeah, and I say, and I'm fully 1,000% in support of her doing what she needs to do. And like I said, and if she tell my caramel ass, you got to go, it is what it is.
That's true.
It is what it is.
That's right.
So.
And I'd be
Great.
remiss if I didn't give my love to the panel and the family. And I thank you for taking the call.
Okay, thank you, brother. Peace and love to you.
Okay.
Peace and love.
So let me go to 717.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. I got a story of my own to tell. So my name's Billy, right? Anyways, so me and this girl that I've been dating for a while, we were sitting out in the forest, and things got romantic, and we started hanging out. We started barebacking it in the woods, and after we finished getting busy and everything, the fucking girl climbs up the fucking tree like a fucking monkey, starts eating a banana with her foot. Like, can you believe the fucking nigger or what? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Ah, okay. So I got a redneck calling my show with fuckery. Okay. I can't make this stuff up, y'all. Literally, I can't make this stuff up. So I was minding my business. Oh, okay. So I guess we're that important over here on this little show. Cool, whatever. Okay, so let me see here. I'm gonna go to this next article.
Oh, he
this
didn't
is
have
a follow-up. Huh?
He didn't have very much class because he can't even start the sentence properly.
Girl.
Please.
I know. If I give that shit some merit, I promise you I won't.
That's right.
Yeah, because he took the time to wait online for 18 motherfucking minutes, so we must really be important. Okay, so
Let's
this
off that
article...
DNA.
Yeah. So this particular article, let me get here. This is from the LA Times. And it goes, when did this article come out? It was an opinion piece. Oh, this was yesterday. Opinion. The myth of a Caucasian race. In the vocabulary of ethnicity, some designations are obvious. African Americans are of African descent. Latinos have Latin American roots. But what about Caucasians? If a Native American told a Caucasian to go back to where you came from, where would that person go? Geographically, Caucasian is a region of Russia, a place from which a few white Americans come. Yet the term Caucasian remains in wide use as a synonym for a white person. The classification dates back to 1795 when Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, a respected German physician and anthropologist, conducted research in which he measured skulls and then common practice for comparing disparate human groups. His views on race were complicated. While studying a female skull from the Caucasus region, he was struck by its symmetry and fine features, describing it as handsome and becoming. He believed the white race was the most beautiful human type, a common Enlightenment belief shared by Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, and he made a logical leap. If the white race was the most beautiful and this was the most beautiful skull, then its place of origin, the Caucasus Mountains, must be the birthplace of the white race. Hence the term Caucasian. Blumenbach's ideas were a reflection of the unconscious bias and white racial pride of his era. And when he created the first racial schema of 5 races, he placed Caucasians at the apex. Yet, in some ways, he was surprisingly progressive. He believed in the unity of humankind, arguing that individual members of all groups had equal capacity for intelligence, creativity, and organization. In fact, he was often mocked by his fellow scientists for his generous views of equality regarding non-white groups. Blumenbach also correctly hypothesized that humans of all races descended from a common ancestor rather than from multiple origins, a key debate of his time. The geography of human origins, of course, he got wrong. The overwhelming majority of scientific findings since Blumenbach's time, DNA. Now, y'all was pissed the last time, who the fuck ever, that we told you that the goddamn DNA traces back to Africa. Here we go again. Blumenbach's time, DNA, the fossil records, the human genome point humankind emerging from Africa. In the years following Blumenbach's suppositions, they came to be widely cited as proof of white racial superiority, especially in the young Republic of the United States. Okay, so now I'm just going to stop right here. We done already told you that when the quote, United States, it wasn't even the United States back then, when these colonies were formed, and as what we are calling the Caucasian race started coming over here, let's be clear, the black nobility kings were ruling and were sending people over here. It is documented as saying that the quote, white race was the minority. And everywhere that you looked across the planet was, quote, tawny, black. All right? Okay, so this whole notion of a white race, Caucasian race, it was mythicized to build up the system that we know today. All right. Over the next century, scholars gave scientific cover to the idea that racial groups had distinctive genetic character traits. The new American nation absorbed Blumenbach's racial theories, and they ingrained in our legal history, racial ideology, and national identity. Europeans today rarely invoke Caucasian as an ethnic identity. So why do Americans? Here's my simple theory. Being Caucasian provides white Americans with an origin myth. Since there is no official white land to say I'm Caucasian, has a mystical ring of geography to it. The word Caucasian functions as an almost magical word referring to a distant, unknown land from whence white people came. The myth also had a key historical function for white ethnics. During the heavy immigration through Ellis Island, groups then considered racially distinctive, Jews, Italians, Syrians, could invoke Caucasian as a racial identity and thereby downplayed their ethnic differences. The story of our current uses of Caucasian is one of a myth living on in defiance of science. Using the term Caucasian is no more scientific than, say, calling people of short stature hobbits, another fictional race with European origins. Language matters. To stop using the word Caucasian would be the first step towards undoing our attachment to color-coding humankind, something that has been at root of at least 300 years of identity and ideology. As the U.S. continues to grapple with race and racism, it's time for the nation, its police officers, and its media to stop being complicit in using a term based on discredited 18th century theory rooted in false notions of white racial superiority or superiority. All right, so again, this is the Los Angeles Times, came out yesterday. It is an opinion, the myth of the Caucasian race.
You know, the book from Dr. Randolph, From Babylon to Timbuktu, he put that in there. That's in his book. That doctor, it was two German anthropologists did that. And that's when that divide happened. I'm trying to see if I can find my book. But, yeah, it was like the 1300s they started that crud. And
but you know why it was done? Because in the 1800s when they were putting that stuff out, that's when the power change was taking place and setting up in the Americas the notion of a white race. Yeah. So they had to come up with an identity, with a myth. So exactly. I say and say again, I don't give a fuck who get angry about it. Go argue with the DNA. Go stand outside and argue with the motherfucking plasma. Because the truth is the truth is the truth. Everybody's running around in fantasy land pretending to be something that they are not instead of looking at things in truth. I'm sorry, go ahead on, sis.
You know what's really crazy about people who do things like that? They create genocide by saying things like that. Because you showed in one of your papers that all these wars, every last one of them, was for genocide for the darker race of people. Because they wanted, Victoria and her son Edward was trying to solidify their rulership by getting rid of all the darker race of people. So they don't do the world any good service. And I was thinking about those things you just said and what you said and what moral compass that they had to do that. They didn't have any moral compass when they were doing it, nor a scientific compass. They just had bigotry as their guide. So he put that in his book. I couldn't find it at the minute. I got papers everywhere. From Babylon to Timbuktu. And Dr. Randolph, he did it in 1966 or 60-something, yes. That was out there already. But nobody paid attention to it, but I'm glad that somebody finally picked it up.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to say it again, that we are in the age of knowing. So this stuff can no longer be hidden. It's not being hidden. So those that are resonating, that can see the truth for what it is, will get the information, process it accordingly, apply it accordingly, and keep it moving. Those that want to keep living in fantasy island, that's your choice. Just get fucking purged. It is what it is. And those of you that are mad, hang on a couple of weeks. I really got something for you to make you mad. I really got some stuff that's gonna make you mad. Because everything that everyone thinks they believe is a lie.
That's true.
It's just not true. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Also, it's like, okay, they say Russia, which is Tartaria area, this, that, or the other. You're talking about a people who can't find themselves anywhere in history. So they have to claim to be other people.
Right.
Knowing that those truths would eventually surface. The color caste system.
Exactly.
That way they can write themselves into history.
Well, the way they want to write themselves into history, because we know that it was in reverse. It was melanation rule, and the white, quote, quote, folks were the underclass. Okay, so they had to write themselves into history the way they wanted to write themselves into history. And so folks want to get upset because the DNA is proving out differently instead of looking at it for the way it is and really getting to the whole truth of the matter so you can enter and understand why cycles are happening the way they are. Oh, okay, then.
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
And the article did say that mankind originated in Africa.
Exactly.
And that so-called conscious community, they're always talking about how it's a difference between man and mankind. But you're trying to claim their place of origin.
Exactly. And they don't want to give up the everybody came out of Africa theory. Okay, so you can't have it both ways. So that's
right,
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Because, I mean, we were all over the planet at the time of their origin.
Can I say something about that Russian thing?
Uh-huh.
When I was telling you 3 weeks ago that our people were kidnapped from this land, just like they're kidnapped from this land, they were kidnapped from this land and sent to the Bahamas. And now these people have that dory in there and they can't get back here. Now, they took the melanated, about 10,000 to 30,000 of us to Russia. And most of them after 500, and they've been there for 500 years. Now, most of them have changed color in 500 years. But they started from over here when Genghis Khan came through the Americas. Now, the same thing happened in North Carolina when our people, the American Indians, were kidnapped and taken over to these islands. Now, we got people in office that won't even let, even in a disaster, let them back over here. Now, that, I think, is pathetic because they know what they did with people.
Right, and even in the case of Russia, when we did our research with the Black Nobility series, those thrones were melanated.
That's right.
They were still a melanated throne.
Yep.
The only place that we saw had white thrones was in Africa. And that was going back to those ancient maps. And I don't even know how old those maps were. That was the place where we saw the quote white race held those thrones.
Right.
But
and Charlemagne was kidnapping our people too, to bring them into those white lands to teach them stuff. That's exactly why he was kidnapping people off the ships as we passed by, to get their civilization established. Because if they came out of Africa with that DNA that you were talking about, they didn't have good sense. But they used our people. They came to different lands and they kidnapped them and took them over there.
Well, if that's the case, what we do know is that those in Africa, melanated, specifically North Africa, were doing a lot of the teaching.
Mm-hmm.
That we do know. So I can't even put that on the quote they, if the they are the white people. Because if you are white and all of my land is melanated and you show up on my motherfucking shores, that's not going to end for you well.
I would say they Mongolian.
But if you melanated and you, even if you're Mongolian, that ain't going to end with you well. But now, if you melanated and I'm melanated and you come on my shores, then we can have a dialogue. So I'm not even going to put that on the quote white people. How the fuck you going to come over here and kidnap me for my shit? Nah, bro, that ain't never finna happen. You can't even go to somebody's hood today as we on this line and be from another hood and come and do some damage. You will be wiped off. So, no, it wasn't that. It was either inside job or partnering up with other melanated kingdoms, and then the switchery happened.
Well, I know a lot of them was kidnapped from here because of some other tribes were selling them out.
Right, yeah, but that was all melanated on melanated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all melanated on melanated. So there you have it. The follow-up, I'm minding my own business, that came out in LA Times. All right, family, so here we go. We're going to get back into the lands of the giants. We're going to pick back up with the Americas. Whew. So last time I left you all off, and for the Americas, we're using the source of reference. Very, very excellent book. He really, really did a good job. It's called The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America by Richard J. Dewhurst. Last time we left off with you all, he got into what he was calling Atlantis. And that's on page 70. And he started talking about in the Nevada, California, Arizona areas, in the caves. They found 8 and 9 foot giants. Interestingly enough about it, in one particular instance, he said the giants were wearing zoot suits. So I kind of chuckled on myself on that one. So basically the theme of this book, he is showing you with evidence across the Americas how there was a cover-up of all of these giants' remains and the artifacts. And every time these things were found, the Smithsonian came in and scooped them up and basically hid the particular remains, okay? So up to this point, we saw where we already knew about Ohio. Ohio with a lot of the giants' remains with the mounds served as mass grave sites. We talked about Cali a little bit last time we were here. Now, what blew my wig all the way back, y'all, all the way back, when he talks on the Delaware Giants, and that's page 45 to 53. That shit is deep, y'all, because he literally gives the story of how the Lenapes, actually, they really came from another land, but they're saying coming from the west over to the east, and was warring with the indigenous population in the east, and had got their ass kicked, so they had to come back and team up with, Brother Sean, who did they team up with? As I sips tea. What's the face in them? He may have muted out for a second.
You mean the Moors?
Well, folks that are claiming that title of Moors, but specifically, let me make sure, Brother Sean.
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, I figured you had got you had to mute out or whatever for a second. No, that's not the name I'm looking for. The tribal name. There we go. The Iroquois. Mm-hmm. So the Lenape partnered up with the Iroquois to take down the indigenous tribe that was there. So interestingly enough, anybody that kind of follows folks that say they're Iroquois, you hear a lot of folks that are Moors say that they're Iroquois, and you hear the Lenape say they never partnered with the Iroquois. Some of the Lenape, I don't want to say all, but some of them say we never partnered with them to fight anything. We're not associated with them because they call themselves Moors. Lot of wooda, okay? But so that whole dynamic, again, this man broke it down in the book. The Lenape and the Iroquois helping take down the other indigenous folks for them to inhabit that land. And Moors, so, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
The Moors claimed the 5 civilized tribes, period.
Oh, I didn't even know they claimed the 5 civilized tribes.
Yeah, because those are the ones with the Constitution and partook in the government and signed treaties.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was just the Iroquois. Now, I'm glad. Thank you for bringing that up, Brother Sean, because, family, there's a video. It's this guy YouTube channel called John Levy, Jonlevi, and he really talks a lot about the mud flood communities, but he has a lot of good work out there. I really like his work. He has a video out called They Came Before Columbus. It's not long at all. I think it's about close to 20 minutes. It's well worth it because in the video, he's talking about the indigenous people of the land who were documented as being in the Americas before Columbus. Now, interestingly enough, this shit lines up to everything that we have been researching, all of these theories that we have been doing. Because in this video, he's speaking on, all of his videos have a theme that the history that they're teaching today all of it is false. Throw all that bullshit out the window. And he goes back through and shows you these older buildings and pictures with these older buildings that were here before is different from what we see now. And we're talking on a massive scale, huge things, okay? Now, when you look at these structures, they look just like European-built structures, okay? All right? So he goes in the video that it's being documented that, quote, quote, the Indians, some of the Indians who were the original part of the 5 civilized tribes said they are Romans. Okay, so again, do you know why I'm strong with that? Because when we did that Black Nobility series, we showed you how those particular bloodlines of the Black nobility clearly said they were Roman. When we were doing the Giant series, when we started it, and we were doing it out of the book Bashan and its Giant Cities, he told you that those people, that bloodline, which, you know, those were his people, that's who he was representing, were the Romans. And in that book, he was telling you how his people, the Romans, had their sanction from their God to go into the giants, quote, quote, land and take their shit and conquer them. Only difference is he was over in Europe back in the 1800s, retracing the steps and showing you by eyewitness accounts that there were structures that were older than the Greek and the Roman structures. Okay, so I highly encourage you to look at that video. Again, his name is John Levy, L-I-V-E. Shit, and I just lost my place, y'all. Oh, bear with me. And he is talking about, we've been on this series a while, y'all. I got so many damn notes. It took me all the way to the top. He is talking about how these particular Indians who identify with the 5 civilized tribes, and they're the quote, quote, oldest ones, are the Romans. They say they are the Romans. And so the title of the video literally is They Came Before Columbus. So I am saying all of that to say I'm going to use my southern stuff now. I done took and told y'all that the script never changes. It never changes. They just rebrand the shit. I told you all that long before who you call, quote, quote, Caucasians and white people stepped in the Americas, that the indigenous people of the land were already defeated by the Romans. This is a Roman system that we are in. It's the same fucking system around the entire world. Okay? All right. So, we're going to just jump right quick. He talks about South Kakalaki, South Carolina. All right? So, we on page 80. And it's the PDs of South Carolina date to 8000 BC. So so this came out of the Florence Morning News, August 4th, 1974. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Am I still on the air?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I hear.
Okay, I just got a message that we got kicked off. Okay,
Really?
whatever. Yeah.
Maybe that's
okay, whatever.
Maybe that's
all right. We cool. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Bob Durrett, a Francis Marion College senior majoring in history, has just completed a comprehensive study on the early Indians of the PD. In his study, the young archaeologists focus on the archaic period of the Indian culture of the PD dating from 8,000 to 1,500 BC. Being, for the most part, nomadic, the archaic Indians, or could be Archaic Indians, moved along the river areas in the PD Basin in search of food, probably sheltering themselves in rough huts and saplings or hides. Occupational sites from this culture were studied in 4 South Carolina counties: Florence, Darlington, Marlborough, and Marion. According to Durrett, the people of the PD have always been aware of the past existence of the Indians of this region. Farmers have found the artifacts in their fields, he said. However, people mistakenly associated these artifacts with the historic Indians of early colonial America. In reality, Indians could have lived in this area of South Carolina as early as 12,000 years ago. So then he goes into South Carolina. Clovis spear points killed mammoths and mastodons. Durrett based this opinion on the fact that in South Carolina, Clovis spear points have been found like those found in the Southwest, which are associated with the bones of the now extinct mammoth and mastodon. Carbon-14 dates taken from the prehistoric kill sites of these huge animals go back to about 10,000 BC. Okay, so again, but folks want to talk about this out of Africa theory. Okay, then, whatever. All right, therefore, according to Durrett, since the spear points from the Southwest and from South Carolina are so similar, it is perhaps reasonable to assume that the age of the Clovis artifacts in this state will be close to those from the Southwest, perhaps earlier. Mammoths and mastodons in South Carolina, so they just kind of go in talking about finding those particular remains of those animals in South Carolina. Okay, so I did want to share that with the family. The last part is New York, and so this was out of Associated Press. Oh, damn, this was in 1997. I'm surprised. Humans have lived at this site, and this is in is this in New York? I want to be. Yeah. Humans have lived at this site as early as 12,000 years ago, about the flatlands near the Allegheny River, 90 miles south of Buffalo, New York, when they followed retreating glaciers north. The first year-round residents were the Hopewell tribe from 100 to 500 CE. Now, I'm going to stop there and just put a little something on it. Because if you watch that video that I'm recommending with John Levy, they came before Columbus. It's about a snippet in there where he's going to talk about some of the people in Africa, and I could have read that in the comments, so forgive me. I might have read it in the comments, so I apologize. The comments of the YouTube video. I can't remember if it was in the YouTube video or I read it in the comments, where some of the tribes out of Africa are saying that their origins are the Arctic. Okay? So I did want to point that out as well. So I'll pause in case Brother Sean or Sis, you had something to put on it before I move on.
What did you say about the Hopewell tribe?
What he's saying is that this Buffalo, New York site by the Allegheny River is about 12,000 years old, and the first year-round residents, so meaning the first folks that lived in that area, were the Hopewell tribe.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was trying to say.
Yeah, so then it says in the late 1800s, archaeologists from the Smithsonian Institute found Hopewell burial mounds in the area. There were many tribes in Pennsylvania who seemed to be imitating what the Hopewell were doing, but the artifacts from these burial mounds appeared to be real. Okay, so now I'm going to point out again, the Native Americans say they were not the mound builders. In their defense, they say they were not the mound builders. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on to the most ancient site that they're claiming.
You know what's really, really bad, what you're saying? Is that their archaeological digs are finding that American Indians, or us folks, was here 12,000 years ago. But when you get one of these DNA reports, they never tell you that.
Well, aren't the DNA reports, they're not tracing who they're calling the Caucasians back to Africa?
No,
but they're tracing the indigenous. Yeah, okay then. Okay.
I just want to point that out. Because I know about the Hopewell.
Exactly.
I know about them. I know about the Apaches. I know about all these people. But they don't, unless you ask straight out, they ain't going to tell you nothing about yourself over here.
Yep. But in their defense, they do say they are not the mound builders. That they are consistent with. Which totally makes sense. So now we're going to go to what he is saying, the most ancient site. So this is on page 86. So, okay, perhaps the main academic in the forefront of the study of what are called the Paleo-Indians, or what should more accurately be referred to as the extremely ancient settlers of the Americas. Not only has Adovasio been at the forefront of the excavation at this site, but he has also been active in dating and reclamation of the bog mummies of Florida. Okay, so we ain't even got to that, y'all. He has published his findings in an excellent book called The First Americans in Pursuit of Archaeology Greatest Mystery. But despite his expertise in the area of this study, Adovasio has remained silent on the subject of the previously discovered skeletons, which is odd as it directly relates to his life's work. Perhaps, like most of the others in the academic field of archaeology, he is simply unaware of the finds or has been brainwashed into believing these old finds were all part of some ongoing hoax. But the only hoaxers are those at the Smithsonian and the major universities and museums across America who are involved in the ongoing suppression of scientific evidence crucial to understanding the true history of this country. All right. So I kind of stopped because when he started talking about the Paleo-Indians, I'm like, all right, what the hell is he? What does that really mean? Here we go, y'all. And sis, you're going to get a kick out of this too. Okay? So even with that term, Paleo-Indians, they're still not telling the total truth. Because if you were to go by this, it would mean that the Americas, it's one or two things. The Americas didn't have nobody on it, or the indigenous were invaded. Okay, Paleo-Indians, everything that I kind of looked for on this had the same exact information, so I just went with Wikipedia because it was easier to condense. Okay, so it says Paleo-Indians were the first people who entered and subsequently inhabited the Americas during the final glacial episode. Okay, so if you look at the glacial episodes, it's saying that it's an alternating series of glacial and interglacial periods during the period that began 2.58 MA and is ongoing. All right. So in other words, when glaciers were melting, and if you look at the little map, it's showing once again America, the north kind of being frozen over, and then you see on the other side of that another piece of land. All right. So it's saying the prefix paleo comes from the Greek adjective. No shit. There we go with the motherfucking Greeks again. Meaning old or ancient. The term Paleo-Indians applies specifically to the lithic period in the Western Hemisphere and is distinct from the term Paleolithic. Traditional theory suggests that big animal hunters, okay, sis, so here we go, girl. Traditional theory suggests that big animal hunters crossed the Bering Strait from North Asia into the Americas over the land and ice bridge. The bridge existed from 45,000 to 12,000 BCE. Small, isolated groups of hunter-gatherers migrated alongside herds of large herbivores far into Alaska. Ice-free corridors developed along the Pacific coast and valleys of North America. This allowed animals, followed by humans, to migrate south into the interior of the continent, woo, woo, woo. So they're going on about that. All right. It says stone tools, particularly projectile points and scrapers, are the primary evidence of the earliest human activities in the Americas. Archaeologists and anthropologists using surviving crafted lithic flake tools of classified cultural periods. Scientific evidence links indigenous Americans to, now this what's going to fuck y'all up, what they're saying, and which is totally, we know it's totally not true, but links indigenous Americans to the Eastern Siberian population. Indigenous people of the Americas have been linked to the Siberian population by language and blood types. Yeah, whatever. All right.
No,
so
but that's true.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's true. They took the people there. Remember I was telling you that they came over here and they took them over there to Russia and Siberia.
So that would mean, so if we use that particular logic, so that would mean blood in them, that's the Siberian in them, came over here and then took some people back over there.
That's what they did. That's
8,000 to 7,000 BCE.
Well, I don't know what they said. Genghis Khan was in the 1300s, but their carbon dating may be wrong.
Yeah,
that's the part that I would look at, because carbon dating is really not that effective anyway. So, but they did. Well, they always try to place us over there than over here anyway. But they did take, the women came first. And I was listening to, I think it was King Drop, who went through the DNA on that the women came first. And they hooked up with our men. And then the armies came second. And then they took, that's the Assyrian invasion. And it's all in the script. It's all on released in a lot of places that the Assyrians took our people captive. They were brutal, the Assyrians. And then you have these Native Americans right now. They're Assyrian.
Because their blood links to Siberia.
Exactly. And so they did come over here. Those people you're talking about, they're Native Americans, came over here because they're Mongoloids. They came over here, they took our people, and they exchanged themselves with us. So when you look at the what is that, the 8 definition where they changed identities, that's what they did. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yep.
They changed identity with us. They took over these Americas, the northern half, I think. I'm not sure if they extended to the south. But they took over, because the southern part of the countries fell too after the first. See, the scripture says the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom fell later. So the northern kingdom.
The southern held out. That was the last one, Yeah,
that's the last one that tanked. That was the last one that tanked. So they came over here through that Bering Strait from Siberia, Russia, and all that kind of stuff, and from Asia, because they captured China first. China had melanated people too. Now you only see the whiter ones in the front.
Oh, absolutely.
They had us. That's why all these wars you were saying, was to take us down. So they came over here after they conquered China and Japan and all the eastern things, because he captured 20 million square miles of America. Of the planet. Genghis Khan did. So they took the people over there. Genghis Khan was dead by that time, and his successor. That's the word I'm looking for. He took our people to Asia, Siberia. To Russia, Siberia. And other areas of the land, too, because he took quite a few people with him. His successor did. I I looked up the name, but I forgot. And so Moses is Kublai Khan, which is Genghis Khan's great-great-grandson, which is the daughter, the Pharaoh's daughter. They tell that story in the Bible as the Pharaoh's daughter who adopted a Hebrew child.
Yeah, this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
That's Moses. The Aztec has him in the Aztec Indians have Moses on their books as Kublai Khan.
And I do want to say, if you're trying to call in, I apologize. We no longer have a board, so I can't see you. So it is what it is. Okay, so what's interesting to me, sis, is that I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. So you trying to convince me that wasn't nobody on this land?
It was.
That's what you're trying to convince me. That's not possible. These people came over here.
So what's the name of the man that did this? You said a Levi. Levi is a Jewish name, you know.
No, but Levi wasn't the one that said that. I was just referencing his video. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You know, so the written word, even that word, may be tainted. Because we had great civilizations because the Mayans were here. So, you know, the Mayans built them doggone pyramids they have in South America. I mean, this Mayans been since time immemorial on this place. So what are they talking about?
Right. So here's what I think personally. I think that, again, as I said in the opening of the show, you had the different bloodline or species that came from other lands.
They used to call them cataracts.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
Africa or the Nile, they call them cataracts. I guess that's.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they call them cataracts.
So when I'm speaking of other lands in this content, I'm speaking of land beyond the poles.
Yeah.
So you have these different bloodlines that came over
the flat Earth
to the Arctic. All right, and you have to remember the Arctic was not ice over at one time.
Yeah, it wasn't.
As, you know, the polarity started changing, and probably because of the vibration and all of that, folks started moving around. So into Europe, you know, then you had Africa, then folks started coming across into the Americas, okay? So I just found that interesting that once I went to that Paleo-Indian, that's what they have documented. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? No, that don't line up. Okay.
But you have to know, too, when you poo-pooed the Greeks were melanated. The original, everybody was melanated. The Italians, the Greeks, everybody.
Absolutely. The Russians. So
the Germans, everybody.
Right.
And the first Germans melanated.
Exactly. But that just goes back to what I was saying with the whole planet was populated with melanated, and then who they are calling white was in Africa, and then the North Africans and the whites were mixing together, whatever, and then the North Africans and the Europeans, which were melanated, started interacting, and then you had Asia in the middle. So all of that stuff, you can see a progression of different races, or I say bloodlines. I'll take race out of it.
But you said,
moving to different places.
70% of today's European is of that DNA of the R whatever M whatever.
Blah 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 out of Africa.
Yeah, and they come from there and they migrated out. So that's why I said when I said in the beginning, the planet of the apes, prison planet. The landlord, who was us, was in charge, and then they took over.
Yeah, but the deep part about it, it's melanated folks with that same lineage, which
that's
would make sense. Well, it's not what they say. That's what the DNA says.
Yeah, who's making that up?
So meaning. No, even in that work. So it's not, all of Africa was not white.
At that time,
it was a mixture of white and indigenous melanated Africans. So that's the thing. That's what nobody wants to talk about. That's where the reversal of roles come into play.
But Africa wasn't colonized until 1865? That's what that other documentary said.
Not all of Africa. When I talk about Africa, I'm still up in the northern region. Africa.
Remember, because you're a map.
All I got to do is look at the ancient map. It shows me who was over there. And
but you have that little map that Africa wasn't as big as it is now. Remember that little map you had?
That's fine. That's all fine. The bottom line is, in Africa, there was melanated and white. We got the ancient map that shows it, and we also have the DNA. And on that ancient map, it shows a lot of fuckery. What's going on with genetic splicing and all of that bullshit.
I agree to that.
So it shows it. It shows it. Okay. So all right. So that's that. I wanted to just go down to that whole Paleo-Indian Siberia connection. Okay. So again, we're talking about invasion upon invasion upon invasion upon invasion, and nobody is linking up. Very few are linking up who they really are. And so folks wonder why everything is out of whack, because folks have been running around switching identities with this fuck shit. All right. So real quick, we're going to go to Wisconsin and Alabama. Now, again, what I like on the sections that we're getting into in this book, he's tying these migrations after an ice age. So, again, some type of shift happened that changed the climate on the planet drastically, okay? Because they admit that the Arctic at one time, and if you all can, go look at John Levy, go look at his list of videos, and he talks about the Arctic, and he's going to show you ancient maps on how the land over in the Arctic, there was more land accounted for that now it has just been totally missing. And what fucked me up, y'all, Iceland was really known on the maps back in the day as Iceland. So meaning that's when stuff was greenery, and you could see on the map castles and houses and grass and all of that stuff. So it was really interesting to me that Iceland was island and it became Iceland. So an event happened, and I think that map, he said, was in the 1600s. I'll even put it to the 1300s. I'm going to even give it the 1300s. I'm just going to give it the 1300s. So an event happened to cause those lands to freeze up. And it would make sense why the population started to migrate further, quote, quote, yeah, absolutely. All right, so on page 98, just real quick, with Wisconsin and Alabama, Oconto settled right after the Ice Age. So this was out of Wisconsin State Journal, December 13th, 1963. Dating of the old copper culture also tells us that the Paleo-Indians who preceded. Oh, hold the fuck up. Wait a minute, y'all. Let me wet my fucking whistle. He just answered our question. So, my bad. I don't want to accuse anyone wrong. He just answered the question right here. Dating of the old copper culture also tells us that the Paleo-Indians who preceded the old copper culture arrived shortly after the disappearing of the last glacial age in the state, explained Warren Witry of the Wisconsin State Historical Society. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there.
So the copper culture was us.
Go ahead, sis. Exactly. That's all I'm trying to say. Exactly. I only know. Yeah. So he already gave us the answer. He's telling us that the old copper culture was before the Paleo-Indians. So okay. All right, shout out to Dewhurst. Yep, you got it right. Because I'm like, no, the Paleo couldn't have been first. All right, so anyway, the date of the last glacier has been determined as about 11,000 years ago, again by use of the atomic calendar carbon-14 dating method. The material tested in this instance consisted of a wood from a spruce swamp in Montague County that had been flattened by the last glacier. The Paleo-Indians hunted now extinct. Damn, y'all. Damn. What?
I'm changing phone, sorry.
The Paleo-Indians hunted now extinct bison, elephant, the North American horse, and camels in this country, with those in Wisconsin hunting the bison and probably the mastodon or mammoths of the day. Damn.
Remember they had those people, Grand Canyons that was buried there that had those mastodons in there with them?
Yeah, but you know what's tripping me out though, sis? Did they hunt these doggone animals into extinction?
Yeah, they did.
See what the fuck I'm talking about? Just cannot go to somebody's land and be in goddamn harmony.
I know. You ever notice why we need so much oil for our hair? Who would use all that oil from the bisons? We would. Our hair requires it.
Shit. Just can't goddamn have nothing. So it goes, we have found their tools a distinctive type of arrow without the fluting of later Indians and small flint and incisioning tools with a sharp point. What we hope to find are these tools and associated with bones of bison and mastodons from that period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, so I did want to read that little part about Wisconsin, and so you can go on, and again, that was on 98. Now, he does say old copper culture site at Potosi. The Oconto burial ground of the old copper culture is the second found. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Oh, I think that was me clearing my throat. That's not him.
Oh, okay. Okay, no worries. The Oconto burial ground of the old copper culture is the second found in the state in 1945. Erosion on the banks of the Mississippi River near Potosi revealed the burial grounds of about 500 individuals. The bones were in a trench some 20 feet wide and 70 feet long, under a cover of black sand about 5 feet deep. All right. So I did want to share that part. Let me see. I have one more in Alabama. Where's the Alabama one? Okay, so the Alabama one, ancient Alabama cave now open to tourists. So this is, and I'm on page 101. Smithsonian removed tons of artifacts and skeletons from Alabama caves. Russell Cave, Alabama, is open to visitors. Oh, I'm sorry, you all. This is out of Alatoona Mirror, and this was on in 1986 that they published this little article. Russell Cave, Alabama, is open to visitors, and study of the 9,000-year-old home of the Stone Agers has moved into the laboratory. The cave on a wooded mountainside near Bridgeport is man's oldest known habitation in the southeast. From at least 7,000 BCE to as late as 1650 CE, generation of primitive huntsmen found ready-made shelter there, a mild climate, clear fresh water, and a forest full of game. The Smithsonian Institution and the National Geographic Society explored and excavated the cave several years ago. Isn't it interesting that the Smithsonian's funk ass is always on the scene? National Geographic Society explored and excavated the cave several years ago. It is now a national monument. Okay, so that's another place to visit, family. Russell Cave, Alabama. All right, 5 tons of artifacts from a deep working trench. Carl F. Miller of the Smithsonian excavated 5 tons of artifacts, stone, projectiles, arrowheads, fish hooks, bones, ells, and needles, shell ornaments, human skulls, animal bones, and the ashes of ancient campfires. Much of this material has been cataloged and studied by the Smithsonian in a separate project. The National Park Service has... I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
You know how primitive they are not to have the power to bury 5 tons of anything. Can you imagine the labor force of somebody who's digging by hand? Huh?
Agreed.
That don't even make sense. That doesn't even...
Unless you was big, right? If you was big as hell.
You could take a little spoon and get that up like that.
Right, like, planting a little baby tree or a bush in your, in your garden. Like, bloop, bloop. Okay, we good.
And y'all have to be primitive. How come they have all the advanced technology and we're so primitive? And yet, when Columbus wrote his book, he said they had water, aqueducts, and they'd have taken a lot of time to bury all the stuff we had and all the cities we had. Why
right,
do you think
and see, remember that to just show you how the con game runs deep, because even when they claim Columbus came over here and saw all of those things, those were the Roman stuff. So that particular group had come over and started setting up that Roman system. So all of those structures that they talk about and they're associating with that whole Tartarian thing and castles that look like Europe, those are the Romans that when they came over here set up those civilizations and started marrying into the indigenous bloodlines. That's why, to this day, if you are, quote, quote, black in America, if you do your genealogy, more than likely you're going to see it also traced back over in Europe, and you're going to more than likely see it on your father's side, because that's when the Romans, I'm going to call them the Romans because they said themselves they are the Romans, came over here and started marrying into the bloodline. Because remember, the indigenous cultures, the woman holds the wealth. Land is passed down through the woman. And the Roman bloodline, it's the man. Okay? So that's why those particular civilizations that they're calling great, with all of those structures and the buildings and the aqueducts, that's all Roman systems from the melanated side. So that's still not the original state of the indigenous people. So things had already started to fall from a not fall. We had been failed by then. So now I enter and understand that even those great civilizations that they're talking about, the Tartarians and the grandiose building of that and this and that, that was nothing still but a conquered Roman Empire. So when they say empire, they're not talking about a little section. They're talking about the entire planet. All right. So he gets into climate change on page 104. But Sis, in the book, he goes into New Mexico, some findings in New Mexico on 102, and tying Mexico and California together, and Arizona, and getting into a little bit of dinosaur pictures, this, that, and the third. So that's on 102 and 103. So 104, just real quick, evidence of climate change. There must have been great climatic changes in this thirsty land since these thousands of people lived here. Today, there is not an ounce of water to be found anywhere, just a great burnt up, heaved, dried up waste. So he is talking about, let me back up to just give it a little bit. because he's talking about Arizona. These finds in gypsum caves were forecast a few years ago by the discovery of a series of remarkable pictographs in Lee Canyon in Arizona. Samuel Hubbard, who discovered them, said the pictographs included one of an elephant attacking a man. Wait a minute. I'm just going to say, I'm still effed all the way up that we talking elephant. Because if we were to believe history, elephants did not roam in the Americas. Or am I just crazy and not have it together? So, I'm still just kind of
have it together.
Back by that. Huh?
They say dinosaurs are extinct too, but there's some earlier, latest sightings not too long ago flying over my area. Or dragons were flying.
Yeah, so, and I don't know who said this, but somebody said that the animals that we see now are not the original animals that were here, and some of our animals were taken over to the other land. So that's just tripping me out, y'all, about these elephants.
That's what they say. You know, the Mormons keep a lot of records, and they talk about when they came over here, it took them over 600 years to take us down because of the fact that we were spread out in all three of the Americas. I mean, this divide here they have is they divided it. Right. We weren't divided.
Right. Okay, let me see. Okay, so the pictograph included one of an elephant attacking a man, the first elephant drawing by a prehistoric man ever found in the United States, as far as this writer knows. Another was a group of animals, undoubtedly of the ibex, a two-horned antelope, still found alive in the mountains of Asia, whose bones have been discovered in European caves, but trace of which has never been before appeared in the New World. The third and most valuable is a pictograph of an animal quite evidently intended to represent a dinosaur. The elephant in America dates back at least 30,000 years. The dinosaur belongs to an even earlier tropical era going back millions of years before that. Yet there in Lee Canyon are pictures of both elephant and dinosaurs chipped in the rock by prehistoric man. Okay, so here's where he gets to evidence of climate change. There must have been great climate changes in this thirsty land since these thousands of people lived here. Today there is not an ounce of water to be found anywhere, just a great burnt up, heaved up, dried up waste. Such a great population must have had water, and such a population could not have subsisted entirely on game, for certainly rainfall could not have supplied them with sufficient water, nor these mountains with enough game. It is my guess that far back in the past ages, a great river flowed at the bottom of these cliffs, that rainfall was plenty, that the inhabitants were farmers, and that what appeared to be a fort or reservoir on top of the cliffs was a storehouse for the community's grain. In the ruins of southern Colorado, I am told a great calamity befell the people, and that the skeletons lie unburied, and general confusion denoted of a sudden end. But on the Pew ruins there is absolutely no indication of where thousands of people went or how or why they went. So, again, I find it very, very interesting that he's talking about some type of great event happen that changed the western part of the Americas, and specifically he's talking about Arizona that made it deserty. Now, again, if you are into like the ancient texts and all of that, they talk about great wars that was happening using all of this ancient technology we call scalar technology, which is really plasma technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that would be strong enough to be able to wipe out forests and land and greenery and torch it to the point where it's deserty. Okay? I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
And crystals, too. Don't forget the crystals.
True. So I think with a combination of tearing down the ancient trees, right? Those ancient huge trees, fighting the wars with the plasma technology and trying to manipulate the ley lines, set off a climatic shift on the planet, as well as bringing down the vibratory state of the planet as well. All right, so I got about 6 minutes because I'm sure I'm going to get cut off because we're going to go in overtime. I don't think it's going to, something tells me it's not going to let us go into overtime. But next week, we're going to get into the Copper Crown King and Pearl Beckoned Queen. All right, so we'll get a little bit more into that. But before we leave, this is the article. Shout out to Sis for sending me this article, because this was the one that I saw, and I could have sworn I saved it in my notes, but mysteriously I couldn't find it. This is again, this is off of Huffington Post, but this was another one that's been going around talking about a potentially habitable super Earth discovered, they claim, in 110 light years away. This came out yesterday as well. It's saying Cape Canaveral, Florida, in a tantalizing first. Now, tantalizing first now. Scientists have discovered water at a planet outside our solar system that has temperatures suitable for life. 2 research groups announced this week that they found water vapors in the atmosphere of a planet 110 light years away in the constellation of Leo. This so-called super Earth is just the right distance from its star to conceivably harbor life. It's the only exoplanet known so far to have both water and temperatures needed for life, the University College London team reported in the journal Nature Astronomy on Wednesday. But lead author Angelo Cesaris stressed this is definitely not a second Earth. Oh, okay. Its star, we didn't say that, you did. Now, why you got to bring up the second Earth situation? But anyway, its star and atmosphere are so different than ours, Earth-like conditions are not possible, Cesaris told reporters. The only question that we're trying to ask here and we're pushing forward is the question of habitability. A Canadian-led team announced similar findings Tuesday. In a paper just submitted to the Astronomical Journal for publication, these scientists suggest it might even be raining there. All right, so it rains. You get the fuck out of here. It rains and all of that. Oh, okay then. It's not a super Earth. Okay, whatever. This represents the biggest step yet taken towards our ultimate goal of finding life on other planets, of proving that we are not alone, the study lead astronomer Borge Benaki of the University of Montreal said in a statement. Discovered in 2015, the planet known as K2-18b is twice the size of Earth, with 8 times the mass. While it's thought to be rocky, no one knows if water flows on the surface. Its star, a red dwarf, is considerably smaller and cooler than our sun, a yellow dwarf, and its atmosphere is also different than ours. I chuckle because if you look at those YouTube videos, people are catching the red dwarf in the sky with the blue
Pacina
motherfucking planet. Yeah. Oh, okay then, y'all. Nonetheless, Tesarius said K2-18b could help determine is the Earth unique. The results are doubly exciting, Tesarius noted, given this is not only the first super Earth with water detected in the atmosphere, but the planet also resides within the habitable zone of its star. The research team used archived data from the Hubble Space Telescope and other supercraft to analyze the planet's atmosphere. Further observations are needed to determine whether the planet is indeed a true water world using next-generation observatories, like NASA's James Webb Space Telescope and the European Space Agency Ariel, both due to launch in 2020. Future telescopes on Earth and in space should help uncover more super-Earths orbiting red dwarf stars, believed to be the most common planets and stars in our Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, but we don't have none.
Super-Earths are... Yeah, exactly, but we don't have none. Right, sis, right. Super-Earths are defined as having a mass greater than Earth but less than gas giant like Uranus and Neptune. More than 1,260 have been confirmed